Well, we have a band to talk about, and it ain't mine this time.
No, but I mean, I'm sure we can talk about your band too. I don't mind. We can talk about. Hello, everybody. If you didn't catch last week's episodes, Eddie's band's album is out. It's called Blinded. Band is called Sage. Album's called Blinded. Just go out and search Sage Blinded on your streaming service of choice, and you'll find it.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, Let's do that plug like right at the beginning, so that those people that tune into the video and get bored at like 2 or 3 minutes, they already got the plug, so it's there. But hello to everybody else. This is Cranked and Ranked, and we are cranking and ranking another band discography today.
Hell yeah! And
I'm it's an interesting one. We're doing Jane's Addiction, and we had this kind of in the books, like in our little schedule of upcoming bands that we were going to do, like in the next couple months, before all of the drama unfolded with Jane's Addiction. So it's just kind of timely, at this point. Luckily, it's not timely in a way of like somebody died. It's just there's some. There was band drama, but so that's got to be the quickest we've ever just jumped into doing a band ever. But this show is Cranked and Ranked. If you're new, we rank band discographies and have really long discussions about the band and the albums, and you can watch us and listen to us, podcast peoples or YouTube's peoples. And because we've done a few of what I would call like the outlier bands of the 80s and 90s. We did like Living Colour, and I guess you could also throw Red Hot Chili Peppers in that box, because like around that time they were a band that didn't really kind of fit in anywhere. And I feel like Jane's Addiction was a band that back then was very similar. Like it almost seemed like they were kind of they were able to live in like the metal world and the alternative rock world at the same time. And so I like to talk about bands like this because they're once again, as we've talked about for however, what 5 years doing this show or whatever, that period of late 80s and early 90s, there's just so much great music. And there's also so much great music that was kind of influential in the different avenues of where rock and metal would go. Because obviously prior to that, you have like the standards. You have Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin and like all these bands. It's like they're the big like overarching bands. But then all of a sudden in the 80s, you started to get these bands that were like, oh, what if we fucked with this way and fucked with this way, and then boom, that's when like the fucking rock and roll metal family tree really fucking exploded. In all sorts of different directions, which is like, which is probably why my taste in music is the way that it is. That I like things that being a little bit different. And your face went dark there for a second. Ah, there you are.
Yes, yeah. Sorry, I had a thing pop up on the screen there from. Sorry, I ran into a quick little technical fault there. I'm all good now.
It's all right. It's all right.
Okay.
We just want to see your beautiful face. Okay, so it's got to be well lit.
That's the beauty of this show is raw.
Yeah. I'm not going to edit that out. But yeah, so as we I'm kind of going in this direction, and as we normally do, we start off talking about a band by talking like where they came into our lives. And for me, I don't really remember seeing any of the music videos from Nothing Shocking when I was younger. My first exposure to Jane's Addiction was the video for Been Caught Stealing, which, of course, like, for somebody like me, so that was 1990, so I was 12, so I was really like looking for these different, odd kind of rock bands, and of course, like that song is a pretty odd little fun song, and so of course I went and bought the album, and the store that I remember, I bought it on cassette, and the store that I went to didn't have the one with the real album cover. It only had the one with like the parental advisory and like the little blurb about freedom of speech or some shit on the front of it. It was
I've not seen that before.
Yeah, just look up Ritual de lo Habitual censored cover. It's just a white. It's literally a white cover. Says Jane's Addiction.
Ritual.
Because there was nudity on the album cover, and some stores, I guess, wouldn't stock it.
OG
which
yes.
So that's the one that I had when I got that album, and I loved it, and I still love it to this day. And then for some reason, like, it didn't lead me, because they didn't put out another album, and I didn't just immediately go back and listen to all their stuff. They were kind of just that was an odd album that I was just really into. It wasn't until like several years later, my first like major girlfriend, she was into Jane's Addiction, and that's where I finally heard, around 95 or so. That's when I finally heard like the first two albums. And so then, been a fan kind of ever since, kind of following them as they went, and leading up to now with the drama going on with this band. So the big question is, was Jane's Addiction in GTA, in one of the GTA games? All right, there you go.
Yeah, yes, it was. It's exactly the same song. So Been Caught Stealing is on Radio X in GTA San Andreas. And that song, for me, the first thing I was drawn to on Radio X was the grunge bands. So like Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Stone Temple Pilots. I went down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
A little bit of Rage Against the Machine, a little bit of Living Colour on the side, But I never really went down the rabbit hole of Jane's Addiction at the time, because it was a cool song and I liked it, but it didn't have the heavy side that I didn't know Jane's Addiction had.
It's not a very good commercial for the album.
No, it's weird, isn't it? How like it somehow sounds exactly like Jane's Addiction while sounding nothing like Jane's Addiction. Like, it's weird. Like, it's them, and once you know the band, it's them.
Yeah.
But as a starting off point, I remember, like, I kind of got around to Jane's Addiction and Helmet at the same time, because I was like, I thought to myself, I found myself in a bit of a rut for a while. I was like, oh man, I want to discover some new shit. Oh, I know. I'll go back to my favorite game and number one source of information. So I went back. I went back to that, and I had a look at it, and I started looking through, and I made like a list of all the bands in there that I hadn't done a deep dive on yet. And the two that stuck out to me the most were Helmet and Jane's Addiction. I was like, all right, well, I love the psychedelic kind of side of Jane's Addiction, and I love the heaviness of Helmet, and I kind of just went in on them. That was like a year before we started the podcast, so
okay,
a lot more recent than my love of Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, those bands.
Yeah, and it is interesting, because I hadn't really thought about it in many years, but if you're judging Jane's Addiction based off of Been Caught Stealing, that is not the band that they are at all. Especially that album. Like, if you go into that album expecting it to be 40 minutes of Been Caught Stealing, you're in for a shock.
Yeah.
I mean there's some rockin' tunes on that, but the second half of the album gets pretty deep. But yeah, so, and of course, if those of you out there, if you don't know like the current drama in the world of Jane's Addiction, there's been, their name is pretty appropriate, aside from the name Jane, because they've all had addiction issues, as far as I know. Every person that's been in that band, all 12 bass players, and then the three main dudes. But recently, they were on a tour, and they were releasing like new tracks, which I haven't really listened to the new tracks, so we won't we're just talking albums anyway, so I don't have anything to say about those right now. But they were doing a show. I guess this is about a month ago now that this happened.
I think it was in September, wasn't it?
They were doing a show, Jane's Addiction Fight. And you can go look it up. I mean, there's different angles of the same shit. That's the one good thing about people filming shows these days. If something goes down, you get different angles.
You get to see the whole or almost the whole picture.
Yeah. So they were on stage playing, and in the video, it's really strange because like already people were complaining about Perry Farrell because his voice wasn't very good and he was acting weird. But he's an older dude. Was he like 60 now? Like he's
65, I think.
65. So of course he's not going to sing the fucking same way that he did when he was 30 and 20. But anyway, so he's like kind of screaming into the microphone and looks kind of agitated. And I heard isolated audio of it. And he literally is yelling at the crowd, "Fuck you people," at one point or something like that. And then he turns to Dave Navarro and screams at him, and then like gets in his face and tries to push him or something like that. And Dave's like, "What the fuck is going on?" And so of course it gets broken up and they go backstage, and apparently there was still fighting backstage, but there hasn't been a real explanation as to what the fuck happened. Perry hasn't come out to say what the fuck was going on. I'm hoping that guy is in rehab or something at this point, because clearly he needs something. But were you going to say something?
This is what it says on Wikipedia.
All right.
Says, on September 13th, 2024, a concert of Jane's Addiction at Leader Bank Pavilion in Boston was cut short after Farrell shoved and punched Navarro and was restrained by the crew members. Farrell's wife, Etilu Farrell. Is it Farrell or Farrell? Farrell or is Farrell, right?
Farrell.
Farrell. Right.
When he puts on a really tall hat, he becomes Farrell. Perry Farrell.
So,
did you get it? It was a Pharrell joke.
Yeah. Anyway, that was
Pharrell produced that song. That's why I was doing that.
That was a fucking tangent. Right. Yeah. Anyway,
Farrell.
So Farrell's wife said that Farrell had been suffering from tinnitus. I'm going to get hung up on semantics all fucking night. And a sore throat, and felt his voice was being drowned out by the band. Farrell allegedly assaulted Navarro a second time backstage. The following day, Jane's Addiction issued an apology and cancelled their scheduled show at Bridgeport, Connecticut. On September 16th, they cancelled the remainder of the tour and said they would take some time away as a group. Navarro, Avery, and Perkins released a joint statement attributing the cancellation to Farrell's behavior and mental health, while Farrell released an apology saying his behavior was inexcusable. So clearly, I mean, he seems to be taking accountability. He's, shit.
I wasn't. I figured he would, but it's just I would like to hear his story of like what was going through his head. But clearly, hopefully, he's out there getting the help that he needs, because that's fucked up. To like, I mean, what he did is fucked up, but to be in that sort of situation mentally.
Yeah.
And if you're, because they said he'd been fucking drinking wine on stage and shit. So like if your substances are in your body and you're already not doing well, that's not a good combo.
The photo of him on the wiki page has him singing and holding a wine bottle. So
yeah. So, but anyway, so that's the recent thing. So right now the band is, I guess, on a hiatus. But honestly, they haven't put out an album in like 10 years or more anyway, which we will get to, because we are going to be ranking all 5 of their albums. One of them not even being a studio album. Their very first album was a live album, kind of like Primus did around the same time. Primus's first album was live. And so we're ranking that 5 total, boom, Jane's Addiction albums. and from what we believe is the least to the greatest. And like I always say, the ranking is really not the important part. The conversation is the important part, because somebody else's ranking will probably be very different from ours. Honestly, like when I went through and I actually like did my ranking, and I thought about it and kind of put them in an order that felt good, I immediately go, I don't think we're going to match up, except maybe number 5. We
Really?
might. I just have a weird feeling. I have a weird feeling that we're going to be kind of crisscrossing, with each other and stuff on this one. I might be wrong, but there's only one way to find out, folks, and that's going to happen after this. I'm just kidding. There's no. So let's rank these albums. Let's discuss the 5 albums from Jane's Addiction. Their legacy is pretty huge because it feels like they have more music than that, but they don't. So so as usual, I throw it over to Eddie Sparxx to start us off with his bottom of the list, number 5, Jane's Addiction album. By the way, I don't think any of these are bad. I'm going to say that, like, that's why I'm not. There's no least or worst of this. I think it's just
just preference.
good to fucking amazing, kind of shit.
Yeah. Which brings me to my number 5. My number 5 is Strays.
Hey, boom, we matched up. Okay.
Hey, we can camp out here for a moment.
Yeah, I thought we might match up on this one. So yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so this one kind of stood out to me as the least Jane's Addiction feeling one, to where it feels a little bit more at home with the rest of the early 2000s, It doesn't,
very much so.
it doesn't jump out, like even down to the cover art. I definitely get the vibe of, and not that I'm basing the quality of the album off that. I just think it kind of matches up pretty well with the general vibe. It's like this album, in stark contrast to their first 3, definitely sticks out as, I don't want to say hello fellow kids, but I do want to say it has the vibe of an album that could easily sit at home with whatever was just popular at the time, compared to the game changers that were coming out in the late 80s, early 90s.
I agree, but I feel like it's almost like the popular stuff that the older folks were doing, because like I listened to this album and it gives me Velvet Revolver vibes or stuff like that. So it's like the sort of middle of the road rock stuff that a lot of older bands were doing, I guess, and some younger bands. But in 2003, what was happening? What was the big sound in 2003? That's such a fucking long time ago, because we were already on the decline from nu metal. Nu metal was already on the way out.
I would say it's like the last nu metal year before the kind of metalcore emo thing took off.
Oh, so that would have been the next thing, like your Fall Out Boys and your stuff like that.
That's definitely the crossing point, 2003 and 4. Yeah. I always point to the Volume 3 by Slipknot, where they went from like the raw, more nu metal thing to, more melodic on album number 3 in 2004. I just fell right in line with that shift.
Yeah.
So that one always stuck out to me. That year in particular, 2004, funnily enough, the same year that San Andreas came out, which recently turned 20 years old.
Wow. Damn.
And it's still the best fucking game of all time. Defy anyone. That's not even nostalgia goggles. It pushed the boundaries for its era, still holds up today, and companies come out with half-finished slop these days that you have to wait 3 years until it's good. So, yeah, sorry, there's my little rant there.
Yeah, I understand. It's got to be frustrating to be like a person that's into games these days, because it seems like there's just so much bullshit out there
that surrounds it. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I just, while we're on the subject, and this ties in because Being Caught Stealing is on San Andreas, so it's still kind of tangentially connected. I miss the days where you simply went to the store, bought a disc, brought it home, and it just fucking worked.
Yeah.
Nowadays the thing that shocked me, I went to the Asda recently. Their whole display of like a new game that came out, all empty cardboard boxes. They're
Yeah.
all tiny
Well,
fake boxes. There's no game in there. It's just
well,
like a
not
little
not
thing.
not only that. If I remember right, the last time my kid had like a new game on a disc, it still just rips the game to the hard drive, and then you don't use the disc again.
Yeah,
It's just like a different way of downloading the game.
it's weird, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's strange. It's one of those things that's really making me start to feel like back in my day, this was
Yeah.
better. And the thing
Yeah.
is, I don't want to be that guy. Some things were because
Yeah.
people put out finished products. And now, with the advent of, granted, you can update stuff, but things like what is it, for example? Sometimes, if you just fucking tested it before it came out, and you didn't have if you didn't set unrealistic crunch times and release dates, you
I
wouldn't.
mean, that's nothing new. Did you ever watch that documentary about the ET video game from the 80s?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
Like,
that
they
thing
had a
nearly
time
fucking
crunch.
that thing nearly killed the fucking medium. But like when I think back, and I know there was probably a lot of like unhealthy crunch involved in making the Grand Theft Auto games as good as they were in that era.
Sure.
I appreciate how these things were finished as best they could be. And the little quirky things that were like left in, like, oh, if you stand on this specific part of the bridge for enough time, you'll fall through it and be able to get to the other island earlier in the game. Little things like that became like a quirk or like a
Yes.
fun thing.
It's
You
like
know?
it's the equivalent of like taking a classic album where there's like a cough or a throat clearing somewhere in the song, and then they just remix it and take that out. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, that was part of the song. Let's just
Yeah.
keep that in. It's like it's pretty. Could you imagine what it would be like if music started to go that way? Where well, I guess they do that. They online they'll just switch out songs for different versions, but. That's another reason why, like, I'm always like, hey, if I like this and it's on vinyl, I'm gonna get it because then you can't fuck with it after that. It's just, it's in my hands as it is.
And I recently have made a real effort of now this is coming from someone who got into Megadeth with the remasters.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I had no prior knowledge that they were so affected. I thought that the Megadeth I was listening to was just remastered like Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Metallica were doing. And then I realized, oh
Yeah.
fuck, Dave went in and fundamentally changed so much stuff that was absolutely fine and better before.
Yeah,
And it's I'm 100% with you now.
yeah.
I hear now what younger me didn't get, and now I'm like, oh yeah, no, I prefer the OG mixes.
The biggest thing with when I first heard to jump off of a tangent to another tangent, the first time I heard that remixed Rust in Peace, before it even got to the vocals, once I heard the snare drum, I went, why did they do this? Why did they make it a shit sounding drum kit now?
Yeah.
So it's like it sounded amazing, especially like the drum sound. And it's like anyway, we've talked about that a lot and people have heard that a lot. Don't if you go to listen to any Megadeth, just try to find originals and not remixes or even the remasters. They like did other remasters and they're just really badly done.
I will say credit to Spotify. I don't know if you've got the option on Apple Music, but on Spotify you can choose between the old mix or the modern mix.
I don't know because I don't really go. I don't listen to stuff like that. Like on my streaming, the stuff I listen on streaming is always newer stuff.
Right.
And then older shit obviously is this
Yeah.
thing behind me. But anyway, back to Strays, which is interesting because I feel like the reason I didn't listen to this album when it came out, and do you want to know why? So the album cover sucks, but the album cover, along with the album title, made it seem like it was a collection of B-sides and not an actual album.
Right.
Because I was like, it's called Strays. Why would they choose this fucking lame album cover for an actual album? That's the kind of cover you would put on like a B-sides and rarities compilation.
I was
And so
about to
I just
say
didn't
that,
even
yeah.
fucking listen to it.
Yeah,
So,
it's definitely got the vibe of an older band trying to do a younger sound.
well, I mean, do you know why
Uh,
that's the album cover, right? Do you know the reasoning behind that? That wasn't supposed to be the album cover, though, originally.
oh, I what,
The guy that did the artwork for previous Jane's Addiction albums, if I remember right, did a painting and they didn't like it. And so at the
oh,
last minute, they just chose a picture of the band. And
what's
so
the artwork that got canned?
I don't. You might have to look it up.
Let's have a look.
Jane's Addiction Stray's original artwork. It's got to be out there because the dude put it together, so I'm sure it was used for something. Maybe somebody else's album got the album cover. But either way, while you're looking that up, this is not a go-to Jane's Addiction album for me at all, but I still think it has a lot of enjoyable things about it. There's a few kind of dull tracks on it, and some of the riffs are pretty damn generic, and it's lacking some of the same energy. That's a good point that you made, that it doesn't really feel, it's the least Jane's Addiction feeling album that they did. It just feels like a middle of the road 2003 rock album that happens to have Perry Farrell on vocals. Are you finding it? Are you finding the original album cover?
I can't seem to find it. It's I've got a bunch of
Let me see. Where did I see that? Okay.
Jane's Addiction Stray's original artwork.
I saw it somewhere, and I don't know. Maybe it's through the wiki. All right, let's go to the
Could it be on
artwork.
Discogs?
Oh, okay, it was used on a different album. It was rejected by the band and used instead on The Bottom Half by Humphreys McGee. So this here, if you can't find it, can you see that?
Oh, I see.
That was the album cover that was created for them. Two Onion Ladies,
I see.
which is better, but still not great. But it looks more like an album cover. I don't even know who the fuck Humphreys McGee is, but if you're going to name your band that, they're a jam band. Get out of my face. Get out of my face. Humphreys McGee.
Kind of want an onion now.
Anyway, so Strays, it makes sense that it's our bottom pick because it's fine.
Yeah, it's one of those things where
it's like if it's just kind of playing and I'm doing something, I'm not going to be like, oh, this sucks. I'm like, yeah, it's all right, cool. It's just some rock tunes. I'm into some rock tunes.
yeah, it's not bad, but it's nothing outstanding. You know,
And I think that, later on, once we're talking more about the album that followed it, that also kind of put this album way at the bottom, because the fact that they came back and actually did an album where I'm like, oh, okay, they can still do a pretty damn good album. And so Strays is even more of just like this thing of like, well, I mean, it's an album. I guess if you're a huge Jane's Addiction fan, it's one more album for you to have. So there you go. But anyway, do you have anything else to say about Strays before we move on?
no, really, it's just like, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
All right. So now I'm guaranteeing you at this point we are going to veer away from each other. So let's hear what your number 4 Jane's Addiction album is.
Okay, my number 4 Jane's Addiction album, and this is where things get interesting, you know? My number 4 is Great Escape Artist, so the most recent one from 2011.
That's not my number 4.
And you know what? The reason it's here is because I love the first 3 so much.
Oh,
I love
yeah.
the vibe of that first run of Jane's Addiction. Just game-changing music. Love it. But this is cool too. End to the Lies, Irresistible Force, Underground, Twisted Tales. I mean, like there's good stuff on here, man.
Yep.
And it's got a really cool modern take on their thing, because it once again it somehow brings back a more of the Jane's Addiction vibe, but
Mm.
does it with a lot more like modern elements to it.
Yeah.
And this album really feels like the Strays that should have been, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they took a lot of inspiration from Dave Sitek from TV on the Radio because he was the guy that worked with them on this. He didn't
Right.
produce it, but he like did songwriting with them and I think played some stuff on the album.
Cool.
And you can, and if you know that band, if you know TV on the Radio, then you can hear that kind of in the songs. And I just think that was just what they needed, a little bit of new flavor for them to go ooh, and then they all of a sudden put out a pretty good album, you know?
Yeah. Again, that this is a classic case of this is really cool, but I like the next three. Just
Oh,
that,
yeah.
that's like a whole other league for me. But again, it's cool. Did they? So Jane's Addiction, Perry Farrell, Dave Navarro, and Stephen Perkins. So Dave Navarro did bass on the album as well. So what was happening there? Is there like a? Let's have a quick look there.
Well, they had. I mean, the bass players were just coming and going from this band,
Yeah.
and then coming back, and then and then leaving again. I mean,
Okay, so in total, there have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There have been 5 bass players in fucking Jane's Addiction.
are those 5 that actually just recorded with them? Because remember, like one point, Flea was playing with them.
Flea is included as one of them.
Okay.
But yeah, like I said, I think
And then and Duff McKagan at one point as well.
Duff McKagan. See, that's the thing. These guys are like fucking royalty, you know?
Yeah,
This band is like has such minimal output and yet changed the game so hard.
yeah, they're very influential to a lot of bands.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like they broke up right as the very scene they helped kick off,
Yeah,
like, got fucking steam. So it's weird.
yeah.
A weird situation. But yeah, it's cool though. It's definitely one of the more interesting bands. But like I say, Great Escape Artist, I really like it, but I really love the next 3.
Yeah.
So that's coming in at my number 4.
Okay. So my number 4, and this is probably where the quote unquote real Jane's Addiction fans are going to come at me. My number 4 is the self-titled '87 debut live album.
That's my number 3, so we can camp out here for a little bit if you want.
All right, cool, yeah. So I've never. This album has always been kind of weird for me because it starts off really strong. And every single time I've ever listened to this album, somewhere around the halfway point, I stop paying attention to it. Like it just becomes less engaging as the album moves on. And I think it's because they all of a sudden switch to like more acoustic type stuff, and it just never really recovers. And so all of a sudden I just find myself even just preparing for this same exact fucking thing where I was like, oh, maybe this will be higher up. I forgot this. It's some strong shit on this, and it's a good, really energetic live performance. And then like halfway through, I'm like, what am I doing? Oh, I'm still listening to this album. So, but the thing that I do like about it is that there are some bands, and Jane's Addiction is one of those bands, that it seems so appropriate for their first release to be a live recording.
For sure.
Like
yeah.
what they did on around this time, and then with Nothing Shocking, there was way more of a jam quality to the songs. They weren't doing like verse chorus middle 8 kind of shit. There was a lot of repetitive grooviness going on, and so it makes sense to like get like the live, atmosphere on it. But yeah, I do enjoy things about this album, but it's never been like the album I reach for if I want to listen to Jane's Addiction. But it's clearly important, and maybe I would feel differently about it if I heard it in '87. If I was slightly older and I actually got into them on this album, it might have more of an impact on me. But it doesn't really, but it's a cool album, but it's my number 4 and your number 3. So passing the baton to you.
Cool. Yeah, like I say, it's the first of the first, the trilogy of the original run of Jane's Addiction, and I agree with you in terms of, yeah, it's front loaded with the cool stuff. I would say, I'd extend it to the Jane Says part, but it finishes off with the rock and roll and sympathy covers. You got Velvet Underground and Rolling Stones back to back, and then Chip Away is like a weird track at the end. I would say, honestly, there's probably about like an EP's worth really of like original material.
Yeah, I almost feel like the album was intended to be for an acid trip. You drop the acid at the beginning, and you're all like, yeah, and then by the time the music starts to veer off, you're just like, whoa, man, I'm into this. What are they doing here? So maybe that's my problem. I wasn't on drugs.
We're not high enough.
No.
Can you take me high?
That's what that song's about. It's about being on acid.
Who would have thought? We must be the only podcast in the world that can bring up fucking damn Yankees on a Jane's Addiction episode, dude. Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool, but it definitely is. It's the least realized of the original trilogy. So ultimately, it does its job as a debut. It shows that this is a cool band. But
it's like the beginning of Been Caught Stealing in my house.
Yeah.
My dogs love the beginning of that song. They're all like, "What the fuck? Where's that?"
Dude, please, can you do a TikTok of that? I want to see that. I want to see that in practice. I want you to get every dog in front of the. All right, guys, I want you to listen to this. Ready? You'll have like a dog mosh pit, like to the song.
I do sometimes in my room when I'm like playing. I'll be playing records, and like I just I leave my door open, and so that the dogs can roam around and do whatever they want to do. But they'll end up in here, and then sometimes like there'll be like some major like riffage going on, and they're just all like playing with each other and rolling around, and I'm like, it's like a little dog mosh pit right here in the middle of my room. That's adorable.
Rad. You're gonna make them look like shirts, yeah.
Or they all have vests.
Yeah, and they all have to have patches on them. They need to be dog puns, So
like dog, mega dog, or that's a good. I'm gonna do that. Yeah. Pup Terra.
Mother Love Bone.
That could just be just be the name of the band. Well, obviously we'll have to make a paw patch for the band Paw, because not only are they called Paw, but they have a song about a dog.
you have to get the band logo rabies in the Anthrax font and put that on one of them.
Oh, that's a good one too, man.
That'd be funny.
Gotta get to work.
Man, we you know what? We should do an episode where we just workshop funny band patch ideas for your dog.
And then we got to get somebody to make them for us, because I'm too lazy to throw that shit together.
Hell, you could call this one Bones Addiction.
Oh yeah, that's actually pretty good. Anyway, all right.
Ozzy Bone.
But a bone
chewing in the name.
We'll literally have a
Rage Against the Mailman.
Bone Thugs in Harmony. We'll have
I don't know, man. I think people are really sleeping on Rage Against the Mailman. I think. That'd be
but more like these days, Rage Against the Amazon package carrier.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Oh man.
Anyway, Bones Addiction. We're talking about that the first album from Bones Addiction.
Yeah, it's cool. It's interesting to hear a live album as a debut. Primus did the same thing. What are some other bands that did that, where their first album is a live album?
MC5 comes to mind.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Can't think of any other right now. Sure, somebody out there will put it in the comments, and they'll put it in the comments with no context, like a month from now, and I won't know what it means. Like,
Yeah.
why did you mean that? That happens all the time, where somebody will just put something, and I have to go back to a video that's like 4 years old and go to the timestamp and be like, what are they talking about? Oh, okay.
Oh, dude, did you notice I left a timed comment on the last episode where you and Ollie drank at exactly the same moment.
And then you did right after. It was the two of us, and then it was you.
Yeah, it was like seemingly unprompted. Like, just completely like, yep, bevy time.
Yep.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I was watching it. I watched it back, and especially the part where Callum needed a piss. I laughed my ass off at that. That was so fun. That's such a Callum vibe. Completely forgot he was being recorded.
I think he knew, because he set it up perfectly to where it was just low enough where you couldn't see any downstairs action.
That was pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie. If it wasn't, then that was so perfect. Because if he was if it was facing any further up, we'd have just had.
It would have been a different reaction. It would have been a different reaction if it was just full on dong going on. Then I would have been like, we're definitely going to be demonetized, if not blocked altogether.
Just had to put a big black bar over the fucking.
A big one, huh?
When the face is down.
You guys are closer. You guys are closer than I thought.
Hey man, it gets lonely on the road. On the road between one end of Cornwall to the other. Anyway.
Yes. So we keep going back to finish up this album. Jane's Addiction, 1987.
Yeah, it's cool. It's definitely it definitely shows off that they're a very unique band right out of the gate, and I think
for sure.
Yeah, it's cool, but it's not as cool as the ones that have above it. So
I agree
with that. Yeah.
I agree. My number 3 is The Great Escape Artist from 2011.
Okay.
Their fourth album. And I remember this album coming out because I heard whatever the first, I think Into the Lies was the first song released from it, I think. And I just remember hearing it and being so surprised at how much I liked it. And I'm just like, oh, this band is back and they're like doing cool shit. And so I got the album and I was really into it. And I was already, a fan of TV on the radio, so I kind of liked the sound they were kind of going for and putting the Jane's Addiction stamp on that. And I think it works really well. Obviously a huge improvement over Strays for me. And I like the fact that it's a unique sounding album for them. So they're not just coming back and trying to do the same kind of shit, which I feel like that's what is the problem with Strays, is that when you take the kind of shit they were already doing and then give it like modern production values, it just becomes just middle of the road rock music, and it's not that interesting. Whereas Great Escape Artist shows that this was a band that they could play around with like different ideas and different sounds and still make really great music. And this is a really great example of the kind of thing I want to hear from an old band that's still making albums. If there's whenever an older band is we're back together, we're putting out an album, I'm just like, okay, let's hear it, because you need to bring me something interesting, because if you're just fucking rehashing the same old shit, then depending on who you are, I may enjoy it, but most of the time I probably won't. But Great Escape Artist is great. For those of you who may have missed out on this album out there, I highly recommend checking it out. It's just a cool vibe all the way through. I wouldn't say it's an amazing album, but I would say it's a really strong album, especially for a band that, that literally missed out on the 90s completely, and then, they came back with kind of a rough one, but then, 2011, man, that's when my kid was born, 2011.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, I just really enjoy Great Escape Artist. I think it's great.
I was 13 years old in 2011. So
And yeah. But I do agree, like as much as I like Great Escape Artist, there is a giant jump in quality to these top two albums for me. So let's see if we match up or we don't on our top two Jane's Addiction albums.
as far as I'm concerned, as a joint first, because these two, I love both.
I don't agree with that, but I'll get into that.
Okay, okay. My number two is Nothing Shocking.
Hey, we matched up.
Nice,
We
nice. So we've got a pretty matched up list.
Yeah, just a little bit of a mix up in the middle.
Three of the five. Yeah.
So yeah, nothing shocking. 1988, my number two as well.
And I mean, dude, where do I start? I mean, Up the Beach, Ocean Size, Had a Dad, Ted Just Admit It, Standing in the Shower Thinking, Summertime Rolls, Mountain Song, Idiot's Rule, Jane Says Thank You Boys, Pigs in Zen, which isn't on the vinyl version or whatever, but
Yeah.
this is one of the best, like, alternative metal, alternative rock, hard alternative, whichever way you want to spin it. This is one of the goats, dude. Like, when I listen to this, it's like otherworldly. And even now, like, you know, some 35 years later, it still holds up as like, this is really cool and different.
Yeah.
And a lot of the songs, like this whole album has that huge 80s spacious vibe. Sorry, that was my watch. It has that huge 80s spacious meets heaviness meets psychedelicness that that sonically, this album is so much of what I want to get out of our music. Like,
oh yeah.
it's like the sound of this and Ritual are so influential on
both
us.
Both produced by Dave Jerden,
Yep.
who did Alice in Chains,
Yep.
and then later on did Anthrax and Sacred Reich, and he's a guy that touched a lot of really fucking amazing music around that time.
Dude, I'm gonna really quickly look at Homeboys. Holy shit.
Dave Jerden, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude.
Yeah, he did a lot of cool albums.
Wow. Yeah. I sometimes I forget. Yeah, Dirt is production perfection, if you ask me. That holds up now. You know?
Well, all of his stuff has a unique sound that nobody even touches anymore. I don't think anybody even tries to do that particular type of sound. But
Man, he did the Red Hot Chili Peppers, fucking Mother's Milk.
oh, he did Mother's Milk?
He mixed it. He
mixed it.
He was involved, but yeah.
Yeah, that's a good sounding album for me too.
Reality of My Surroundings by Fishbone. Dude.
Yeah, he's that dude has been around. I'm assuming
The
he's
Wind, Spinal Tap.
nice.
Yeah. Dude, this guy knew what he was fucking doing, dude. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. The interesting thing about it is that I agree with everything you said about this album. I think it's an experience. It's something. It's part of why late 80s, early 90s rock music was so great. Is that albums like this that were a little bit fringy, I guess. They didn't quite fit in, and the thing that I liked is that they came across as kind of strange and a bit dangerous, but also with a little bit of a sense of humor. And I think that works really well. But the thing about Nothing Shocking for me is that what I love about the album is just the overall sound and the overall vibe of the album. If I start picking out individual songs, that's when the album loses a little bit of points for me, because there are some where I'm like, this song's not great. There are some truly great songs on this album, but it's still, like I said, it's still, they have more of a jammy kind of thing going on with these songs. And luckily, they didn't just continue doing the same kind of shit on their next album, because as much as I love a band that can create a vibe like they did here, and it's just one of those things that you put it on, and it's a cool journey that is unlike any other band or any other album. And but I just think I'm happy that they got more adventurous with their actual songwriting. And and so Nothing Shocking is an absolute fucking classic, and it's got, you fucking put on Mountain Song anytime, and it's just fucking clear my schedule for the next 5 minutes or so, because it's just the vibe and the sound of it and everything is just so perfect. But
I don't care if I'm even stopped in traffic, windows rolled down. Coming down the mountain, that's a heavy song too.
Yeah, I mean, it was fucking played on Headbangers Ball. Like that's what I was saying. Like, they were a band that the people that there were, I knew the people that I knew that were into Jane's Addiction were not metalheads. Yeah, but also metalheads were into Jane's Addiction, and so it's just it's fascinating. I fucking miss bands like that so much. Anyway, this Nothing Shocking is fucking amazing, but our joint number one to me is an unfuckwithable album, for many, many reasons. But we can still talk about Nothing Shocking. We don't have to leave right now. We're just, we're blowing through it anyway. Just 5 albums. Do you have anything else left to say about Nothing Shocking?
It's fucking awesome. It's awesome. One thing I thought was funny, I realized if I hover my cursor over the album art on the wiki page, it says black and white photo of nude female conjoined twins with their heads on fire.
Well, there you go.
It's not like it says the artwork for Nothing Shocking. It just describes exactly what's there.
I wonder if it does that on everyone.
I'm going to do that on Rachel.
Do that. Look up the first Brujeria album.
Oh shit!
With the fucking severed head. It's
right, here we go. Brujeria.
Brutal picture of severed head.
Where is it? Singles AP. Where the fuck is it?
Called Montando Sueros. Montando Sueros.
There it is. Okay, here it is.
Which I believe is translated to fucking white people.
Nothing appears to be coming up.
Oh, damn.
Oh, they wussed
How
out.
about Tomb of the Mutilated? Is that too?
Oh, okay. Yeah, hang on. Tomb
Here's the
Mutilate. Tomb of the Mutilate. No, not Tomb of the Unknown Soul.
And next we'll do As Nasty as They Want to Be by Two Life Crew.
This is hilarious. 2 corpses, 1 male and 1 female, engaging cunnilingus.
This is a whole other episode on its own.
Dude, hold on. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do the one for Butchered at Birth, okay? A zombie butcher pull a stillborn corpse from another half-skeletonized dead woman while another stabs her torso. Dead babies in various states of decay are behind them.
I want to know
That's
who
like
does
a Cannibal
this.
Corpse lyric in itself.
Yeah.
Here's a zombie this is eaten back to life. A zombie in a graveyard gruesomely tears off his flesh with his teeth as his organs explode outward.
Nice.
They got a fan to write this shit.
I seem to think that this should be a whole episode of looking up artwork. What are you at now?
I'm on the Hammer Smashed Face EP. and I'm gonna like lightly growl it. A face that has been gruesomely destroyed by numerous hammer blows. A claw hammer is still wedged in the temple. Like,
Yep, put a blast beat under that, and then you're good to go.
let's see if did they do it for the bleeding? Because the bleeding's got several
Well,
covers.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, they didn't do it for the bleeding. Have a look at Vile.
Vile is,
Yeah, here we go.
He's been halved, and his dick is just laying there.
A green corpse with stitches on its chest, a mutilated head and face, and no lower body, with maggots pouring from its innards. The corpse's penis appears to be lying in front of it. This is the most fun I've had
I
in a
think
while.
I want to start a death metal band called The Corpse's Penis. Is that? That just has a nice ring to it, don't you think?
Corpse penis.
The corpses. No, I like the
Corpse's penis.
I want an apostrophe in it.
Yeah, the corpse's penis.
The corpse
appears to be laying in front of it.
or even better, we'll pluralize everything. The corpse's penises. That's even better.
These get more elaborate as I go on. The Gallery of Suicide. Here we go. Depicts many slaughtered people, including an almost naked woman. She has many slash wounds and is shown disemboweling herself with a knife. Some other hanged people are also shown.
They gave up after the woman. They're like,
Yeah.
naked woman. Here, let's describe her. There's other things on the album cover too.
This Bloodthirst one is good. A grotesque abomination made of human and animal body parts kills people in an industrial setting.
These are great. I want you to stop because I feel like this should be an entire episode. We'll just look up album covers and read the description that Wikipedia says.
Wow. All right, I'll finish off with the Wretched Spawn because this one is graphic and elaborate.
Yep. Demon baby bursts out of vagina.
Here we go. Controversial cover image. It depicts 3 baby demons violently emerging from the naked woman, surrounded by 3 other demons. One of 3 demons with wings seems to be bewitching the woman to get one of 3 baby demons emerge from her mouth. Another one of them emerge from her belly, and yet another one emerge from her vagina.
Dang, that is a fucking mouthful.
I'm gonna do the one. Well, I'm gonna do the one for kill now. Word.
Damn, they really let us down with that album cover, didn't they? Make sure to tune in for the Jane's Addiction episode where we end up on Cannibal Corpse album covers.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway,
Right.
moving on to our joint number 1, right? Are we done? We're here. We're now
Yes.
moving on to number 1. Our joint number 1, Ritual de lo Habitual, or however you pronounce that. I'm just
Yes.
going to say that's correct. From 1990 is our joint number 1.
By Juanes Adicción.
Okay.
Here we go.
That's a good
Okay, so
beginning of an album right there.
it is a very, very good beginning. It's a hell of a way to kick things off. Dude, this album is a fucking masterpiece. This is amazing. And I love how the album is structured in a way where it's like the first side is like 5 hard rock songs that are just kind of like individual things.
Yeah.
But like side 2 has kind of a concept going on.
Yeah.
And isn't it based on one of Perry Farrell's former girlfriends who passed away?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. 3 Days, then she did, of course, and Classic Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the amazing thing about an album like this is if you hang on to it, if you discover it when you're young and you hang on to it,
Yeah.
it becomes a different album for you. Because when I first heard this album, I loved the entire thing, but I definitely preferred the first half of the album, the more rocky and shorter songs. And then, but I always loved the second half as well. It was just, I preferred the first one. But then I got older And then all of a sudden, like the second half of the album became like the star of the show for me, where I'm just like, holy shit, this is like, especially the song 3 Days. It is fucking, I don't even feel like it's a 10-minute song. It is just such a great build. And, you know, when something builds and then it has multiple parts that are all just equally as rewarding and enjoyable, it's just like I said, however they were writing their songs, I don't really know if Perry was writing stuff on his own or Dave Navarro, or if they were coming together with parts. I don't know, but the actual structuring of all of the songs on this album, which you do get different flavors of what they were doing, because you do get a little bit of acoustic stuff, some kind of odd songs that are just, you know, you don't really quite fit anywhere, but they fit very well on this album. And then some straight up fucking rockers. And like every song just has some real standout, memorable thing about it, whether it's a guitar riff or something that Perry does vocally. It's just, and around this time, like this album, not only do I just love it, but it's super important to me because like 1990 was a really huge year for me expanding my taste in music, because around this time I had gotten into Faith No More, and then this album came out, King's X, Faith, Hope, Love. There's all these sort of like, and I also got into Red Hot Chili Peppers around this time too. So all these kind of, they're rock bands, but they're all kind of doing something a little bit different to where they could also be classified as like alternative, but there's definite fucking rock shit going on. That's just a period of music where I'm just like, man, it really sort of set me off to where it's like, there doesn't need to be like a set fucking rule about how a band is supposed to sound. And like I've said many times, the 90s, we were spoiled in the 90s just because you got a lot of bands that were either unique bands or bands taking chances and making unique albums. And Ritual is one of those where I'm just like, it was very important to me at the time. And I just, and I love the idea of the different experiences on each side. And I love the way the album sounds. And it's just, I like, the more that I listen to it, the more it just solidifies it as a fucking perfect album that I'm just like, every sequencing, everything about it, I'm just like, they fucking nailed it. And then they broke up. So, which, you know, you hear about, I mean, like a lot of bands put an album of this caliber out and it causes them to fucking break up because it's just so fucking stressful. But in the case of Jane's Addiction, it seems like very early on, Perry was kind of hard to work with. And not to mention everybody on drugs. It doesn't help that either. But, so the fact that they managed to get this album done, and I've heard stories about like Dave Navarro being completely fucked up, but they still managed to put this album together, not just the songwriting aspect of it, but the performance and everything. And I'm just like, that is, it's one of those examples of like fucking Bill Hicks did that thing about a lot of great music was made because of drugs. You know, it's like, it could very well be that you know, not being on drugs is not a good thing for some bands, unfortunately. But it's, you know, like fucking what was I thinking of the other day that like they stopped doing? Oh, it's fucking Chili Peppers. Chili Peppers got clean, and then their music just got bland. And it's like still really great. It's still a great band. But it's like, something's missing. I think I know what it is. It's drugs.
It's one of those.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Don't do kids drugs. What?
Don't do kids or drugs. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
I always love that clip from It's Always Sunny where Danny DeVito is like, "We're gonna do a song about not diddling kids. Do not diddle kids. It's no good diddling kids." And then they clap back with, "There's no quicker way to make people think you are touching kids than writing a song about it."
I love the episode of Always Sunny where they're doing the musical that Charlie wrote. And there's the song that Danny DeVito's Frank's character has to sing where he's supposed to say, you have to pay the troll toll if you want to get into the boy's soul, but he keeps singing it as boy's hole. Like, you got to pay the troll. You want to get into the boy's hole. And I'm like, well, what are you singing? I'm singing boy's soul. That's literally one of the best shows ever made in my opinion.
I really need to catch up on It's Always Sunny because the other two guys in Sage fucking love it, and I do too.
It is. Yeah,
it's one of those things. In actual fact, after this, I'm going to start watching it again because
the thing that's so great about the show is that the first season is easily the worst, but it's still fun. But the way the show has unfolded over the years and the surprises that you get from the show, the writing, it's just so amazing because it's like, it's so fucking funny and just fucked up in so many ways. But then they'll just be out of nowhere, something really poignant happens.
Yeah.
Like, where the fuck did this come from? Yeah. Anyway, Ritual, De Lo Habitual. Hope I'm saying that right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. That's the one.
I feel like I just talked a lot about this album and you didn't talk. I just took over. I'm sorry.
Honestly, no, that's fine because honestly, I second that. This album is fucking incredible. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's a must-have for anyone who loves like kind of alternative and or heavy music of the late 80s or early 90s because it's just killer.
Yeah. I always really just picking out little things from the album. I always really enjoy it when vocalists and lyricists find interesting ways to fit in profanity into lyrics. And I always really like the beginning of I guess it's Ain't No Right is the beginning of the song. And he does that, I am skin and bones, I am pointy nose, but a motherfucker makes me try. And I was like, he literally didn't have, the motherfucker did not need to go in there at all.
Yeah.
But it really helped the flow of that line. And I was always like, yeah, because like, Who would have thought to like that needed a motherfucker in it? Except for drugs, kids. It's drugs.
It feels good to say motherfucker. It's okay.
It is. It is. It's got to be one of the best curse words out there.
Yeah, motherfucker.
It means so many things, and it feels good. It's got a good combination of vowels and consonants, and your mouth gets a nice exercise. Motherfucker, you get to do all the things. You know, even better if you put an S at the end, because then you really get to do all the motherfuckers. You get to really get that sound at the end. I love it. Anyway, what were we talking about?
Yeah, it's awesome album, dude. Like, just the fact that it runs through so many different vibes.
Yeah,
and they have like, which one is it that has like this like Eastern vibe to it? The like.
Oh, you're talking about one of the. Yeah, I think it's Of Course, one of the last songs, second to last song, I believe. Yeah,
yeah. They just busted that out of nowhere and pulled it off.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome. But yeah, it is one of those things, though, isn't it? Where like the first half of the album is really like short and to the point. These are clearly like rocking songs.
Yeah.
But then you get to the second half, and it's just this sprawling conceptual expanse of just alternative metal done fucking perfectly. Yeah. And I don't want to slap labels on them because they strike me as the type of band that are hesitant to get labeled down to any one thing. The thing I always point to is like alternative metal because there are heavy guitar riffs in there. Yeah. They're alternative metal in the same way that Living Colour are alternative metal, you know?
Yeah.
There's heavy elements to their sound, and they're of an era, but above
Yeah.
all else, they're just a really cool band.
They're just another band that you have to use some sort of alternative. You have to use the word alternative in there somehow
Yeah,
because
yeah, for sure. Because they're
it,
not.
which I love how like the alternative term actually became a very good term to use, where for a little while it was really just alternative was kind of a catch-all term for
Yeah.
rock music, and but now I feel like it's used more appropriately, where it's like, yeah, they don't really fit into the straight rock category or straight metal or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, amazing band, and I hope that Perry comes out of this doing okay, because I unfortunately, like, obviously he hasn't come out and said that he's like, getting help somehow, but I feel like after watching that fight, that onstage fight, I feel like there's two ways that this can go. He's going to get help, or he's going to die. Because like when you see certain people act a certain way, you're like, this is the video you see where one of those two things is about to happen.
Yeah. For sure.
Something horrible to his life is about to happen, or he's going to go and to rehab, or whatever. And I feel for him, because like I deal with so much emotional shit, and anxiety and other types of things, that if I almost feel like it's a blessing that I didn't make it as a big musician, because I feel like I would have been one of those people that fell victim to abuse of drugs or alcohol or whatever. I drink now probably more than I should, but I don't, I don't drink all the fucking time. But I feel like if I was in the public eye and had the stress of like, well, keeping a band together, putting out music, and then touring for the music and being on the road, and all of that stuff, and just people always looking at you. I feel like I could have gone down that route, and who knows what the fuck would have happened to me. I don't know. So especially when you're getting older now, because like rock stars aren't supposed to get older. Like
Yeah.
when you look at the rock stars, like fucking Chris Cornell, like
Yeah.
rest in peace, Chris Cornell. But I look at videos of Chris Cornell from like the early '90s, and I'm all like, he should have just the universe should have allowed him to stay in his 20s.
Yeah.
Because I just feel like what a lot of these musicians do for us as fans, and musicians, inspiring us as well. I feel like that they are not, even if they're heaped a shitload of praise all over the place, I still think that they're not given the respect they deserve for truly being something important to so many people. So it's interesting. I don't know. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get all serious with this, but
No, it's true. It's true. Yeah.
and then and then you have the Chris Cornell story, the way that it unfolded, where he was getting older, and he had all sorts of issues that he wasn't really dealing with in the right ways, and then the story ends for him, unfortunately. But anyway, I'm just hoping that Perry Farrell doesn't. I hope that there's a good ending to this, and like for everybody, for all of you out there, all of the peanut butter platypuses and all of those things. Before I get to those, to the fans, I realized that we were about to skip over the best part of the whole show, where we celebrate finishing a band's discography.
Yep.
Sorry to clear my throat. Here's how we celebrate: 3, 2, 1. Yeah, we did it!
We did it.
We did it. Anyway, so yeah, peanut butter platypuses, aluminium squirrels, Belvedere ball sitters, Christmas dogs.
Christmas dogs. Yep.
All of you out there, We appreciate you, and we've got a few episodes left this year before the end of the year.
Yep.
And we usually take like a little short break, end of the year, beginning of the year, and then we kind of regroup. But we've got, we've got
3 more, I think.
3 more, and we still have 1 more ranking. And you could say it's the biggest ranking we've ever done. I don't just mean, well, I mean, it's a big ranking in size, but also for the caliber of artist.
I wanted to actually put the question to you.
Okay.
I'm thinking of maybe extending that to the first episode of next year, just to give it maybe the time it really deserves to really start with a bang.
And this is when you guys get to listen in on a band meeting. Yeah, we are a band. Yeah, we're like the White Stripes.
Yeah, fucking A. Yeah. And we've got more albums than anyone. Check our playlist.
Yeah.
All of our things. I was thinking with a recent development with myself is that a particular album from 2000 recently, because we're building up to a 2000 episode. We're going to do a Y2K episode.
Yes.
Certain album from that recently clicked with me, and this band has also recently had a new album out with a new singer. I'm wondering, do we jump on
No.
the Linkin Park thing? I just think it would be an interesting one to go out on for the year. I think it would be a fun one. Because even if you're not into it, it'll be funny.
I don't want to end the year making enemies. Because it's going to happen.
Well, you got the Christmas special to apologize.
Yes, we do have a Christmas special coming. Well, hold on. Let me look. I love that this is happening in the episode.
I just thought it would be fun. I just thought, because I know what your thoughts are. But I wanted to point it to you because I've recently listened to their first album and I thought it's actually
that's way too many albums that they have. What is this? Okay. I mean, I guess I'm not going to love. I'm not going to love it, but it will be interesting.
I just think it'll be interesting, like a very interesting episode.
Yeah. Oh, they already put out an album with the new singer. I didn't even.
Yeah, well, this is what I was thinking. This was what I was thinking. We'll strike while the iron's hot, and also, I just think it'll be. Sorry, I've kind of put you on the spot here, but as soon as you started teasing the other one,
I'm not going to say no. I'm game, especially when you bring something to the table. I'm always like, oh, okay. If he's stoked about it, then let's do it.
Well, I say that as someone who one album in particular has recently clicked with. I have yet to go through the rest yet, but what I will say is I'm interested to see how this plays out because I know you've said before that you're not the biggest fan. But I've found that sometimes
that's a good way of putting it.
that can make for a very interesting episode.
Yeah. All right, we can do it. Is that would you want to do that after what's the next one we're doing?
After Slashed and Mashed, Chuck Mosley, Faith No More. So
see, you guys that stayed to the end of the episode, you know the whole schedule now. We're going to be doing Slashed and Mashed, Chuck Mosley, Faith No More, followed by Linkin Park.
Yep.
Followed by Christmas special.
Mm-hmm.
Which you need to make your purchases for Christmas special.
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I told you I got mine in, and I didn't even I just put it away. I didn't even look at the box because I'm just like I want to do it on that day. Won't go any further into that. So there you go. That's the end of the year schedule.
It's Heroes, right? We're doing Heroes this year.
Well, you can do whatever you want. I was just doing British.
Oh, well, I want to
You're
match
doing
up.
American. Oh, okay.
We're doing American. Oh wait,
I was
hang
saying
on, hang on.
I'll do a British, you'll do an American. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah,
Or
can
we
do.
can do the same exact thing. Whatever you want.
Uh,
I'm
I
fine with
was
whatever. It's the holidays.
I was thinking because I've already had a lot of American like candy and sweets and stuff like that. So I think it could be an interesting one if we pose it as like a ranking. Like
Oh,
we're gonna go through and we're gonna rank the
okay.
heroes,
Okay.
Cadbury heroes for
Yeah.
those wondering. Cadbury heroes. Let's have a look.
I'll tell you which one I got. This is how many of you love this? Put this in the comments. How many of you love you actually hear the conversations that we normally have at the end of after an episode is over? We're
Yeah.
having it right now. You get a little
Um.
behind the scenes peek for free.
So
Who the
there's
fuck?
there's
Who else gives you that? Nobody does.
fudge, whisper, dairy milk, crunchy, twirl, caramel, double decker, twisted. So there's nine. There's nine heroes total, right?
This is the one that I got,
That's the one. Yeah.
and it's
Nice.
got how many does it have? It
I
doesn't
think it's
fucking say.
nine.
Um,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah.
I can't. It doesn't have a listing here, so I don't know. Let me count. Let me count the thing on the front. Let me count. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think it's 9. So we got eclairs, fudge, whisper,
Yeah.
dairy,
Oh,
dairy milk, crunchy bites, dinky decker. I love the name of that. Twirl, caramel, and twisted. Right?
yeah. The Dinky Decker is a miniature version of the double decker.
It just reminds me of that TikTok video I saw where the guy's like, "Oh, I love your Thanksgiving dinner, but I very much love my mother where she does the Willy Wallows with the fizzy biscuits,"
Yeah, yeah.
or something like that.
Dude, tell you what, we need to get you a double decker bar because those things are fucking good. Hang on, I'm gonna show you a double decker cut in half right now. I'm sending it right over.
Oh shit! All
There it
right,
is.
this is the best part of the whole episode. Just all right.
The double decker is of
That
legend status. Yeah,
that the what? So that looks like like a whatchamacallit over
right.
here.
It's got like
Maybe.
it's got like little biscuits at the bottom, and it's got like nougat at the top.
Yeah. What brand is that? Double de-
It's
what?
it's Cadbury. They're all Cadbury.
Oh shit! All right. Well, yeah, that'll be fun. We'll eat a shitload of candy for Christmas, and then also before that, Lincoln Park, and then I'll be deleting all the rude comments that people are like, because I'm I can't sugarcoat it just because Home Dude passed away. Okay, I feel bad for him, but I
I would
never
I would
never liked them.
I'd say enough time has passed, and as long as you're not going off and saying I'm glad he's dead, I'd say you'd be all right.
No, I would never do that.
Anything's legitimate criticism, and people who get their fucking panties in a bunch about that, just
I think that the thing that's always and I'll say this again on the episode, I'm sure. So congratulations to those of you who are here. You'll hear this twice. I used to say that when I knew that new metal was done was when I first heard Linkin Park. That was when I was like, oh, this fucking genre is over. Like it's like that literally it's just generic bullshit now. That's exactly what I thought. Because I was like on board with a lot of the early shit, the early, Limp Bizkits and the early Slipknot and System and all of that stuff. And then all of a sudden I hear the fucking One Step Closer song, and I was just like, this is the end of the genre. No way this is going to be another one of those bands that nobody fucking talks about ever again because it's just total bullshit.
and ends up being.
I know. What the fuck do I know?
It's weird, isn't it? Like, I'm sure you're going to say things that I do agree with, but that there are things that have transpired recently where I've gone back and I've heard some stuff and thought, yeah, you know what? I'm converted to some aspects. So yeah.
I'm going to approach it, and I'm going to try to talk about the aspects that I like about it, because I know there will be aspects about it that I like. And so maybe I'll do that. Anyway, it'll be interesting for those of you who are listening. It'll be so that's the schedule, as they say over where they make the fizzy whiskets. Is Chuck Mosley next week, followed by Linkin Park. Woo!
Mm-hmm. And then
followed by
special.
Our Christmas special, which is going to be involving old head and Eddie Sparxx gaining a few pounds.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, let's end the episode. I'm glad that.
Quick question. Do you want to have old friends, new stuff before or after the Beatles?
God damn it! You said the name. We're doing the Beatles next year.
Sorry.
Let's do old friends, new stuff in the beginning.
Okay. Cool.
I like the idea of kicking off the year with
the
that.
Recap.
With the recap of anyway, okay.
I just think the Beatles deserve more than 2 weeks. You know.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
To let it all sink in, it's just I was thinking about it, and the whole Linkin Park thing fell so perfectly. I thought,
okay,
let's see what happens.
Okay, let's do it. All right, there you go, everybody. A little peek behind the curtain of Cranked and Ranked. Thank you all for listening on the podcast world and watching on the YouTube world. We love you. You're amazing. And as usual, I'm going to throw it over to Mr. Eddie Sparxx to take us out.
Let it do. Let it do. Let it. I don't know. I was doing something Pink Floyd Stealing-esque.
Oh, I see. All right.
Been later, dude. Once when I was done recording our podcast in the evening. Well, it's just a simple fact. When I want something and I don't want to re-record it, then I walk right through the door. Sorry. Okay.
It was a valiant effort.
Yeah, I did my best. No one sounds like Perry Farrell.
No, or Perry
Only
Farrell.
Perry Farrell. Only Perry. Yeah. Whoa. Okay.